Hello, I'm going to be reviewing The Exorcist, which came out in 1973. It's directed by William Friedkin, and it's written by William Peter Blatty, who also wrote the novel of the same name. It stars Linda Blair, Ellen Bernstein, Max von Sydow, and Jason Miller. Uh, I was gonna try to review this movie earlier. I think I watched it a day before Halloween, and I just kept putting it off because I've been busy with, I had to, take my nieces and nephew trick or treating, and I've been busy with school and work, so I finally got to it. I'm planning on watching and reviewing the other movies in this franchise. I I've already reviewed part 3 since that's my favorite movie in the franchise. So you already know my thoughts on going to be on this movie. If if you already know that part 3 is my favorite. Um yes, this review might be a little bit controversial to some people, and I don't really care because I've expressed my true thoughts on this movie on on Facebook with some people, and most of the times I get negative comments about it, but I don't care. I had one person threaten to come beat my ass because I didn't like this movie. I do like the movie, I'm just not a big fan of it. So anyways, I don't know what much I can say about this movie. It is definitely a classic and is one of the landmark movies in the horror genre. It was nominated for several awards, including Oscars, and I think it won a few. Um, it's been parodied and referenced in so many movies. Any movie about an exorcism cannot, I'll be honest with you, I'm just gonna say I don't find this movie particularly scary, like most people do, but I'll admit that no other exorcism movie comes close to what they did with this movie. And Exorcist 3 is not really an exorcism movie, but that's the only one that comes close to me, in my opinion. Of course, the story is about a young girl, I believe she's about 12 years old, named Reagan, who's played by Linda Blair. She is possessed by a demon. In the later movies, you find out this demon is actually called Pazuzu. And but at first, her mom does not know what is causing her weird and obnoxious behavior. She takes her to get tested, several tests to see if there's something physically wrong with her, like she has a sickness or tumor or something like that. And then she gets referenced to psychologists because they cannot find anything physically wrong with her, and they can't find anything psychologically wrong with her either. They do mention that they think that she has ADD, which I don't think AD or ADHD one of them, but I don't think that was a term back in the 70s yet. They said there was something wrong with her nerves, like she was very like hyperactive and stuff, and they said that she needed to take Ritalin, which I associate most of the time with ADD or ADHD, but she doesn't have that. And then eventually the mom gets reference to talk to a priest and see if they can perform an exorcism. And there's a subplot with an elderly priest named Marin who was doing an archaeological dig in, I believe, Iraq or Iran. I'm sorry, it was one of those countries. And he comes across the Pazuzu statue, which you don't know until the later movies, and there's something going on with him, and you're wondering how he's gonna get played into it, which he's actually the exorcist in the title, so, and he doesn't come in until near the end of the movie. And then there's another priest, a younger one named Father Damien Karras, who is played by Jason Miller, and he is having a crisis of faith. He has a very sick mother who is dying, and he doesn't know how to take care of her. And I think it's his uncle who's always harping on him, saying he's doing a bad job. And yeah. And then basically, big exorcism happens, and that's the movie. And it went down in history as being one of the most iconic horror movies ever made. Now, my only issue with this movie, and I've heard of some other people say it too, so I'm not the only one, is that by the time I saw this movie, I wasn't born in the 70s, or I didn't see the movie in the 70s. You know, I didn't see it when it came out, when it first came out, so I don't have that attachment to the how scary it was when it first came out. Now I can understand, like, I can watch a movie and see how it was scary for that time period, but to me in particular, it did not scare me at all. Um, and I've had so many debates with people about why. And I think mainly it is probably an age thing, because I saw this movie as a teenager in the early 2000s, and I seen stuff, or early to mid 2000s. I seen stuff like Saw, Hostel, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. And the other shirt I'm wearing is kind of weird. It's The Omen. I seen a lot of horror movies before I saw The Exorcist. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre also. So like when I watched The Exorcist for the first time, I did not understand how this movie was scary. Like, now I can, in retrospect, yes, I can see how it was for the time because of the makeup effects. And back then, I assumed a lot more people were religious, and seeing a little girl being possessed and spewing out profanities, how that would be shocking for back in the day. But, I grew up, I seen a bunch of other exorcism type movies. I mean, when a kid cusses, that's, I know it's messed up, but that's normal to me, because when I was growing up, that's how kids talked. It's like, it wasn't shocking to me. I actually laughed a lot of the times, and I still did when she was sitting there saying stuff like, your mother sucks cocks in hell, and shove it up your ass, faggot, stuff like that. It's a generational thing, I think. I will not deny the impact it did have on pop culture and society at that time. But to me personally, and like I said, a lot of people have to share the same views that are around my age, and they did not see this movie until later in life. It does not hold the same impact as it did, and the scare factor as it did in 1973. Um, yeah. I know that's probably gonna get a lot of hate for that, but like I said, I get a lot of hate just talking about it on Facebook and stuff, so I don't care. Um, Now, so the things I do like is the drama aspects, mainly with the character of Damien Karras. I also read the book. I read it in high school, and I actually prefer the book over the movie. And I believe that the book is a great lead-in into the third film, because of the character of Damien Karras, and Detective Kinderman is more fleshed out in the book, which I'll get to the Detective Kinderman character later. But Damien Karras is the most interesting character to me in the movie because of his struggle. He's a priest that he wants to do good, but he's also a psychologist. That's what he went to go train for. And I don't know if he accidentally, I think they say he kind of got forced into the priesthood for, like, financial reasons. But, he is a guy who wants to believe, but he's struggling because of all the crap he is seeing wrong in the world. Like with his mother and all that. He is the most interesting and in-depth character to me in the movie. The other character is interest to me is Father Merrin, even though he is not in the movie that much. But in the later films, they do flesh out his character more, and I always found him really interesting. especially with this conflict with Pazuzu, because this demon hates Marin, but he also fears Marin, and you wonder why. What? Because they always talk about this exorcism that he performed years ago and how it almost killed him, but he ended up driving the demon out. And then, like I said, you find out in the later news that this demon is the same demon Pazuzu that is in Reagan, and it's just very interesting because he's an older man, which I know a lot of people already know this fact, but Max von Sydow was actually, I believe, 44 years old in the movie, and they actually put makeup on him to make him look older. And I didn't know it at first when I first watched the movie, and then, like, I watched, I think it was Needful Things or something later on, and I said, damn, he looks the same as he did in The Exorcist. I'm like, how old is this guy? And then I eventually learned that they just put old man makeup on him, which a lot of people said, well, why didn't they hire an older male actor? But he did an amazing job, and him and Jason Miller are in my opinion, the standouts in this movie. I also did like Ellen Bernstein's character and her struggle with, she knows something's wrong with her daughter, and she wants to know what's going on. And she's a single mother. She's dealing with a divorce. I guess the husband's not real, or the ex-husband, whatever. Reagan's father's not really in her life, and there's a lot of drama there. And she's an actress, and she's not always there for her daughter. And there's a lot of that going on with her. It's a interesting kind of movie, an interesting concept, because someone else said, like, you don't really see famous people in movies and what they got, like, in the movie. Like, you don't really see people, like, based on singers or actresses or actors, anything like that. Is usually like a normal kind of person dealing with these type of issues. And it was interesting to see, like, what an actress in the movie, like her character in the movie, what they got to deal with, and how they struggle with family issues too. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Uh, Now, Linda Blair's performance is kind of iffy to me. And like I said, I don't find the movie scary, and a lot of that is through her performance. I watched this movie again. I've only seen this movie a few times, and I'm sorry, I can't take her seriously in some of the scenes. There's like, watch the extended cut. Sorry. And there's like, I don't remember what's different between the theatrical and the director's cut. I know the spider walk scenes in the extended director's cut. That's the only scene I remember. But there's like a scene in the hospital when she's getting checked for, like, I think it's like when they're doing the trials for physical illnesses, and she's just sitting there going like, ah, like that, and she's sitting there like cussing at people. She's like, "You keep your fucking hands away from me," and it's like, I can't. I'm sorry, it's just funny to me. I know, it sounds immature, but now there's some scenes where she does get kind of creepy, when she's sitting there like with the therapist. When he comes over and talks to her, she's like sitting there just like stone faced, and that's kind of creepy to me. But yeah, I mean, her performance is decent, but like I said, I just don't find the movie scary, and a lot of it is through her. The scary performances happen through her, and like when I'm watching it, like I said, it's kind of funny to me because I'm whatever you call me, immature. I don't care. It's just when I see a kid acting bad in a movie and stuff, it's kind of funny to me. I don't know why. But like the makeup effects is really good. That holds up really well. Not really the split piece suit with the throw up, but like how Reagan looks, and like the effect when her body is like sinking in, and then you see the words written across her skin. It says "Help me," kind of like with Joey in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 when Freddy, writes "Come get him, bitch" in his stomach. Um, yeah. I really don't know what else to say about this movie. I mean, the cinematography is really good. The set pieces, especially the beginning when Father Marin's in Iraq, I love how it builds up the tension and stuff to this battle that's going to happen later on in the movie. I mean, uh, it's kind of disappointing that Marin only shows up late, like in the last half of the movie, and then he gets killed off. But at least they explore more of him in the sequels. Um, yeah, I, I mean, I read the book. Oh yeah, Detective Kinderman. Now I know a lot of people. This is more into like Exorcist 3. Is a lot of people didn't understand how the Detective Kinderman character had this strong relationship with Father Karras when it wasn't in the original movie. And I've heard a lot of people say this, but in the book, there's more fleshed out between Karras and Kinderman, and they actually do develop a deeper relationship in the book. And I like that. That's why I probably like Exorcist 3 a little bit more, because I read the original Exorcist book. So when I transferred over to the third movie, I already knew what I was getting into. But I've heard a lot of people say they didn't understand, like, when they came to the third movie, like, why Kinderman had such a strong friendship with Karras when it wasn't even, they barely talked in the first movie, It's like, that, I don't know why. And also the book is more of like a mystery, like detective mystery kind of thing, because it focuses more on Kinderman, like, trying to solve these crimes that's going on. And in the movie, I know movies are going to be different from the book. I think they focus more on the exorcism than more on the detective part of the book. But anyways, I would recommend this movie, and I was pretty sure if you're a horror fan, you have seen this movie. Like I said, it is it's a masterpiece. A lot of people call it a masterpiece. It's it was nominated for numerous awards and won some. It's definitely, like I said, a landmark in the horror genre. So yeah, I would highly recommend watching it. But like I said, a lot of horror fans probably already have seen this movie. Um, yeah. I don't know what else to say about it. Also, if you haven't read the book, I would highly recommend reading it, because it's kind of different from the movie in certain aspects. And anyways, I'll try to watch part 2 sometime, and then Dominion and Exorcist the Beginning, which I might just do those together because they're basically the same kind of movie. But I kind of dreaded watching Exorcist 2 because I had a hard time watching it the first time and I fell asleep a few times. But I'm gonna try to get through this, and then I want to review my favorite movie about Satan and the Antichrist, my favorite film franchise, which is The Omen. Alright, so that's my review.